Hello and welcome to our review for section 7.1. Let's get started. Let's first review some definitions and then we'll look at an example. Right, so in 7.1 we talked about experiments, sample spaces, events. Right, so an experiment is an activity with observable results. The results of an experiment are called outcomes or sample points. So on Webassign, when you see points, they're referring to sample points or outcomes. Some examples of experiments include, so these are the ones that we'll see very often in our examples from class and our homework, like tossing a coin and observing whether it falls heads or tails, right? Those will be the two outcomes for the experiment. Or rolling a die or dice, or picking a card from a deck, or picking multiple cards from a deck, right? So these are all experiments. A sample space is a set consisting of all possible outcomes, right? So this is like our universal set, except we're dealing with an experiment. An event is a subset of a sample space, right? So a subset of this universal set. And we said that two events, E and F, are mutually exclusive if their intersection is empty. Alright, so in other words, the two events cannot occur at the same time. So for example, if you're tossing a single coin and observing whether it falls heads or tails, then you only get heads or you only get tails. You do not get both. So those events are mutually exclusive. Okay, so now let's look at an example from Webassign that's similar to what you might see on the quiz today. Here it is. So this is number 18, and then I added an extra question in there so we can go over some extra stuff. So we have a television game show. The winner is asked to select 3 prizes from 5 different prizes, A, B, C, D, and E. Okay, so we're trying to choose 3 prizes from 5 total prizes. Okay, so let's look at part A. Describe a sample space of possible outcomes if order is not important. Remember, order is not important means we can use combinations rather than permutations in order to count the elements, at least. Right, so if we have this sample space, we're wondering how many elements are in this sample space. Well, for part A here, we should have, right, so we can say that the number of elements of S should be equal to 5 choose. So I'm gonna use the calculator notation here. 5 choose 3, right, which should be, right, so that's equal to, I mean, a few ways you can do this. Either you just put this into your calculator, right? So another way to say this is this right here. Right, so the long way of doing this would be 5 factorial over 3 factorial times 5 minus 2, 5 minus 3 factorial. Right, so this is 5 factorial over 3 factorial times 2 factorial. But anyway you do this, you should get 10. Right, so when it says describe a sample space, they want you to actually give the set S, right? So you want to give the set S and then list the elements of this set S. So, and then now we know we have 10 of them. We just have to figure out what are they. Alright, so remember the order of choosing these prizes does not matter. So we can choose them in any order, but we have to make sure that we're only choosing 3 at a time out of the 5 options. So the way you do this is you'd say, alright, so here's our set S. And you can do this systematically, so maybe start with A. So, right, so one option is you choose A, then you choose B, then you choose C. Another option is you choose A, B, D. Next, A, B, E. A, C, D. A, D, E. A, C, E, B, C, D, B, C, E, B, D, E, and C, D, E. Right, so these will be all of the options, right? So let me erase this. There you go. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Right, so this is how you can choose 3 different prizes, right? So 3 of those letters at a time, 3 different letters every single time, right? But you're only choosing 3 out of the 5 options. So that's all of them, right? So if, for example, we had 6 prizes and we had to choose 4 prizes at a time, right? The number of those would be 6 choose 4, and then you will list 4 letters at a time, and so on, right? So here's our sample space. When it says describe the sample space, we have described it here, and here it is, right? So given any type of problem like this, you should be able to list out all these options of choosing 3 prizes at a time out of 5, or however many out of 5. Right. Okay, so that's part A. Now, let's do part B. Alright, so how many points are there in the sample space corresponding to a selection that includes A? Alright, so we're trying to count the number of elements in the event that includes the letter A, right? So let's just list down all the options, right? So all the 3-letter combinations that include the letter A. Let's list them out here. So that will be A, B, C, A, B, D, A, B, E, A, C, D, A, D, E, and A, C, E. Right, so from our previous list that I just erased, these will be all those options that include the letter A, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are 6 of them, so that will be the answer to part B. So that's it. Okay, let's do part C. Alright, so how many points are there in the sample space corresponding to a selection that includes A and B? So now the idea is, right, so we're trying to include A and B at the same time, not just A. Well, we've listed in part B all the points, all the sample points, or all the outcomes that include the letter A. So that's already all of them that include A and B. We just have to choose the ones that include both, right? So that will be the first 3, as you can see, right? So that will be A, B, C, A, B, D, and A, B, E. These are all the points, all the sample points that include the letters A and B at the same time, right? So there will be 3 of those. So that's the answer to part C. All right, part D. How many points are there in the sample space corresponding to a selection that includes A or B but not both? Okay, so now we have to go back to our original list for the sample space, and we're looking for just A or just B, but not A and B. So hopefully here you can see that every point, every sample point that we've listed in part C is not going to be included in this list, right? Because those are the sample points that include A and B, but we don't want to include those that include both of them at the same time, right? So those 3 are automatically out. So let's see what's left over. Well, what's left over, including A or B but not both, is, well, you have A, C, D. That's one option. You have A, D, E. You have A, C, E. B, C, D. B, C, E. And B, D, E. Right? So these either just include A or just include B, but not A and B at the same time. Right? And if you count those, there are 6 of them again. So the answer to part D is 6. Okay, so finally, let's answer the last question. So E says describe an event E that has, oh, that's supposed to say that has. All right, so describe the event E that a selection includes B. B. No, that's correct. Okay. All right, so that means that so remember, events are subsets of the sample space. So when it's asking you to describe the event, it's asking you to give that subset E, right? So that means E is equal to, so as a subset, so it's going to be a set itself, and then you just want to list all the elements, right? So all the points, the outcomes of S, right, that include the letter B. So that means A, B, C, A, B, D, A, B, E, B, C, D, B, C, E, and B, D, E. Right, so that's us describing the event that the selection includes the letter B. So that will be the answer to part E. So really, as far as section 7.1 is concerned, this is really all that you need to know for the quiz.